What is up? Welcome to Talking Touchdowns, brought to you courtesy of Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets. We are ready to break down week two of the National Football League. Exciting week one, exciting game last night. And how'd you do in your opening week, Kurt, for the DFS?
I went even almost when that's crazy because I had 30% Mitchell, 30% Robinson. I didn't have the two highest scoring defenses. I had like 55% Jefferson, so that helped. A week with all those, considering all those things going even is a huge win for me. So I'm ready to go back this week.
Tyler, what'd you think of week one?
Wasn't bad at all. We got our best bet home. Mahomes over 2.5 touchdowns. And we were able to profit. Denver blew some stuff up on Monday night, but we'll get it back week two.
All right, let's dive right in. Miami Dolphins taking a little money here, down to +3 offshore at bookmaker. Baltimore Ravens -3, total 44.5. I'm torn on this one. Initially, I loved Baltimore here, but I'm going to monitor this injury report before I make a bet. Maybe on the third string left tackle there in Baltimore. That's not a good sign. And also a little bit worried about just the running backs and their ability to run the ball as of right now. But I did lean Baltimore, and I still like Baltimore. I just don't love it like I used to. What are you thinking, Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, this game for me, I'm not betting it pregame. I'm going to wait and bet it live because I think neither game in week one for either team you can take much of. Miami always beats up on New England at home. Baltimore versus the Jets. What are you really going to take from that? And this is also the matchup where it's like speed has been what kills Baltimore the last few years. Now you're going to send Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle in there. But you also have two under center to where this could go bad very quickly if Baltimore can put some pressure on them. Mind you, they blitzed Joe Flacco 19 times in week one. So it's really all going to depend on if Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle can get this defense to stay honest and stay back. If they can do that, then Washington has a good chance here. But I'm going to wait and see if they can do that live before getting involved in this one.
All right, Kurt, how are you approaching this game between the Baltimore Ravens and Miami Dolphins?
I'm leaning Baltimore because I just think Lamar has so much to prove with that contract. But I'm a lineman at heart. You know, that's what position I played. So whenever you mention what the left tackle or right tackle being hurt, it's going to sway my opinion. So I'm probably going to take a wait and see approach. But if I had to bet it right now, I'm going to take the points in Baltimore. I think Lamar has a lot to prove. I really like Mark Andrews to bounce back this week. I like the stack of him and Jackson. I usually always do that. Did it last week. It didn't do that great. But I'm going to hammer his prop here. I think he can get 100 yards, especially if that tackle is out. A lot of dump offs to him. He can do stuff after the catch. So that's where I'm leaning right now.
All right. Let's jump into a game that I like a lot more. You talked about Joe Flacco. Now he's catching 6.5 points on the road, Tyler, against the Cleveland Browns, a team that you've been high on roster-wise all year. Of course, Jacoby Brissett under center. This total's down to 39.5. Tyler, if if Flacco couldn't get it done against the Ravens, what's he going to do against Myles Garrett and these guys? I think it's going to be even worse here. I think Cleveland is going to completely dominate on the line. You know, Kurt, you said you're a lineman. I love the line matchup here on both sides of the ball. I really like what Cleveland's offensive line is going to do. And you're going to say, oh, don't lay 6.5 points with Jacoby Brissett. How can you lay it with Brissett? Well, I'm laying it with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt because the line's going to give them holes, and then they're going to get things done. All he's got to really do is just do some dump offs, hit Cooper a couple times to keep things honest. I think they're just going to steamroll this team, and I'm going to keep fading Flacco until Zach Wilson comes back because this guy, he's a great backup, and I'm sure he's great in the film room helping Zach Wilson break down the tape. But at this point, he shouldn't be on an NFL football field. I can't back him. I'm taking the Browns. What do you think, Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate that idea. I mean, they only blitzed Baker Mayfield a total of 5 times last game, and they were able to just eat him up. He lost 4 fumbles. He threw a pick. He was sacked 4 times. They blitzed Flacco. Baltimore did 19 times in week one, and they were able to get to him twice to cause an interception. Cleveland's not even going to have to send as much pressure as Baltimore did to cause those problems because of Myles Garrett and the guys. So, yeah, I like Cleveland here. I was big on fading the Jets all year. I think they lose, their first 10 games we said spread?
Yeah.
Before they picked up that Chicago win. So, yeah, I don't hate teasing Cleveland down to a 0.5 point here either. So, that's my route in this game.
Oh, I like the teaser option too. Kurt, how are you approaching this one?
I think Chubb's going to go off this week, and I'm going to be on him in DFS, and that's probably going to lead me to bet the Browns. I think they're going to run it down the throat. that offensive line studs. How about DPJ for us last week, Tyler, our boy? We thought, hey, maybe he's Brissett's favorite target, and it looked like he was. The guy had 11 targets. I called maybe double digits, so I had him in a lot of lineups. That was nice. But yeah, I'm going to go back to Chubb. I didn't have that much last week, but I think they pound him, so I'll take the Browns 6.5. This would be a line. If somehow the line was 6.5 and Wilson was in, I would probably take the Jets maybe. But give me the Browns, give me Chubb. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, Wilson at least can move, right, and make explosive plays when things break down. If you don't give Flacco that blocking, you're absolutely done. And I just don't see them being able to run the ball against this front. I thought that they ran fairly well against Baltimore. I think it's going to be a tougher task. And people say, oh, the Jets, they stopped Baltimore's running game. Well, I think Cleveland's running game is a step above because, last game Lamar Jackson didn't run. So if you take out Lamar, both the running backs on Cleveland are better than what Baltimore was running out there. So
Baltimore
I like
was also
this one.
running out a guy that just got there about a month before that.
Yeah.
And then like a fourth stringer. So
yeah. So seems like we're all on the Browns here, and normally that'd be a bad sign. But when you're going against the Jets, I'm not worried. The Washington Commanders, this line was up to 2.5 earlier this week. It's down to +1. The Detroit Lions are taking money, and I am against the market here. First of all, I thought Washington played better than I expected in week 1. And I think with Carson Wentz, right, because the argument was, is this guy elite? The idea, can this guy lead your team to a Super Bowl? Is he worth a big contract? I believe the answer is no. But like Baker Mayfield, I think that now he's kind of getting undervalued where we're acting like, he's worse than a backup, like he's worse than Jacoby Brissett, when in fact he's just a below average quarterback that really, isn't living up to where he was drafted and the original expectations put on him. But I think I'd still rather have Carson Wentz than Jared Goff. I think the Washington defense has a much better roster. This Detroit defense is still really tough. The only question will be, can Jared Goff? I think this offense has improved. They definitely improved the offensive line. Can Jared Goff and them keep pace? I don't know. I'd rather have the Commanders. I'm taking them on the road. What do you think, Tyler?
Yeah, I'm going to be opposite of you here. I'm taking Detroit. There's a key here. Swift has to be in this game. I seen he didn't practice the last 2 days. Mm-hmm. If he plays, give me Detroit. If he doesn't play, I'm probably staying away from this game. The whole come from behind win over Jacksonville for Washington, I think you got to look at that with a little bit of cause for concern. Like maybe it's just some preseason jitters. They're just getting some rust off and getting used to the new guys. But again, you're playing the team that just picked first overall in the draft. They didn't look as bad as they were last year with Urban Meyer, but you could still tell they were a bottom of the barrel team on Sunday. And it took Washington coming from behind to win that game. Now, I think that could be a little signs of things to come. That team might be closer to the bottom than a lot of people think. But this Detroit team was able to run the ball against Philly. They fought back. They lost by 3 to a team. A lot of people want to crown top 3 in the NFC. So I kind of take that with a little bit more than the comeback win over the bottom of the barrel team, because you should have blew that team out. So Detroit here for me, if Swift's in, I think he runs all over him. They let Jacksonville running backs tear him up. Now they're going to get this guy in here with a great offensive line in front of him. I think he eats them up. And then Trayvon Walker gave Carson Wentz troubles in week 1. What do you think Aiden Hutchinson's going to do this week, Spread? He's going to be all over him too.
All right. Well, let's see. You think the Jaguars are a bottom of the barrel team? My answer is just going to be that I think Detroit is a bottom of the barrel team as well. Kurt, I like the Commanders. Richie Smalls likes the Commanders. Tyler likes the Lions, and our guy DJ likes the Lions. Break the tie. Where are you at?
I'm going the hometown team, Commanders. Oh. I think Carson Wentz is fine in September. The Swift ankle kind of concerns me. I'm sure he's probably going to be like 80%, but Detroit went like all man last week, and it's not easy to guard Terry McLaurin in man. So give me the Commanders. Give me Wentz until the clock turns about late October. He'll be decent enough, and then he'll start looking like hot, sweaty trash. Honestly, the biggest thing is the fact that it's just too good of a narrative that, oh, finally, Detroit's favorite loss. That's why I'm doing it. I think it's punny. So let's go.
Brandon in the chat says the game could shoot out. What do you think,
defense,
Kurt, DFS? Oh, go ahead, Tyler.
Well, he brought up defense. Speaking of that, last week, Washington left Christian Kirk in the slot, guarded by linebackers all game, and got tore up. Amon St. Brown props this week, I definitely pay attention to those, especially live prop too. If you're watching the game and he's getting lined up with a linebacker, because he's going to run right past them all game. So that could be props we got to keep an eye on.
Yeah, talk to me about DFS. St. Brown's right in that sweet spot here. I'm trying to look where he is. He's only 6,500. Interesting with the wide receivers because the top 3 or 4 really seem a step above. But boy, if you want to get different, I like this mid-range a lot. Amon St. Brown sitting there. Interest in this game? I think Detroit, I already told you, I don't really like their defense. I could see it be a high-scoring game. Are you going to have some exposure to this game here, Kurt?
It's one of those things where I think it could shoot out, but I don't want to have I don't want to be married to the idea, so I don't want to go full stack. I think a secondary mini stack is the nut. You take one your favorite commander, you take your favorite lion, and that's how you do it. A little mini stack. St. Brown made my first 3 lineups. I mean, he should really be 7K. But so yeah, do a little mini stack with it.
Who do you want to run it back with? Who's the mini stack on the other side? McLaurin, or is that too easy?
I mean, it's weird going that, but I don't mind that at all. 2 6K receivers in this game. So that way if it does shoot out. But Gibson looked really good last week, and they didn't really price him up much. I have no issue with that too, especially if you think the Commanders can win. But yeah, one of those 2, one of the 6K guys, or you can go Dotson again. He looked really good. The snaps, I don't think were that high, but that's normal for a rookie. So, and Curtis Samuel, I mean, look, Ron Rivera loves him for Curtis Samuel. If Curtis Samuel's healthy, he's going to get a lot of targets, especially from Wentz. So you could also go that way.
All right, different ways to approach this game. It'll be interesting to see how those guys do it. Over on the premium show on Sunday morning, if you're not a part of that, make sure you head on over to runpuresports.com, become a member, use that promo code NFL15. If you're already a member, use the promo code GetBets to come hang out with Tyler and I on the bet side. Let's move on to Carson Wentz's old team. The Indianapolis Colts have been taking money, Tyler. They were 4.5 all week. Now, all of a sudden, they're down to 3 here. Why do you think that they are, or the Jaguars are taking money? Do you think this is because of Darius/Shaquille Leonard now being downgraded out? I mean, I guess you could argue he's worth a point here. DeForest Buckner also on that injury report. And, of course, if you've listened to any other NFL content all week or read any articles, you know that the Colts have not won in Jacksonville since 2014. What do you think about this game, Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a reason why the number's coming down. Definitely the injuries, though, because Darius Leonard, key part in their defense, and Buckner's key on that defensive line to get some pass rush going. Now, they should still be able to get to Lawrence because Jacksonville's offensive line isn't all that good. And if they just run Jonathan Taylor, they should be able to win this game. But after what we've seen from week 1 spread, and this team couldn't put it together against the Texans, and then they finally ran JT towards the end of the game, and he just housed them and brought them back. I can't trust them just to go to their game plan right off the bat again here. So I'm staying away from this game as far as possible from this game. I'm not betting a single thing here.
Oh, yeah. By the way, did I get a chance to roast you for this Peyton Manning 2.0 Matt Ryan deal? He looked absolutely terrible. Statistically, he was okay, but he does not look like the answer.
I gave like the old guy scenario, and I just gave him Peyton Manning, and you think like I'm calling him like Peyton Manning with like his skills.
Oh man,
season, baby.
I don't think that Ryan's the answer. Let's see if he proves me wrong, though. These older players, they can always summon that old greatness, it seems, here and there. It's just, can they do it consistently? I agree with the Jaguars, but boy, I wish I would have had that number earlier. And now at +3, definitely not as attractive. We saw last night the difference between having a +4 and a +3 in your pocket. Kurt, what are your thoughts on this one?
I think the Colts are tired of hearing the narrative. I think I like their coach. I think that he's going to have them motivated this week. If you all got a chance to watch last year, they were on Hard Knocks, and I maybe love this team. So I really might be kind of a heart play, but I think they just shove it. I think Taylor gets like 35 carries, and they just shove it down Jacksonville's fucking throat. I think they're tired of hearing about how they can't go to Jacksonville. They're tired of getting beat up by the Texans. I think they come out motivated, and I hope the public keeps betting Jacksonville because of the whole narrative thing. But I think Indianapolis wins by like 10 points.
Cool. Well, I want Jacksonville, so hopefully everyone listens to you and bets back, and then gets this number back to 4.
If they play the right game plan, like Kurt says, they're going to house this team.
They have a good coaching staff.
It's just they got to play that game style.
How about the fact that coaches know each other? Tyler, what do you think? They worked together on that 2017 staff that won the Super Bowl. Frank Reich, Doug Peterson's offensive
Don't you think
coordinator.
that just kind of takes out the whole like blowout potential in this game? Like neither team probably houses the other one. They probably look at each other across the field and they're like 10 to 7.
I don't think it matters, man.
Frank
Frank Reich knows that they got to get a win.
They got to get a win, but I don't think it's more in college too. You see it with the coaches, like they just don't run the score up on their.
I think it feels safer when you know you have like 20 guys that are better than the other guys. So.
Yeah. But I think it kind of takes it out of here. Like if you see the Colts go up 17-0, I wouldn't go smacking any like minus 24 lines or anything, trying to get some nice plus odds because I could see them just taking their foot off the gas.
Kurt, what do you think about the coaches, knowing each other so well? And then, of course, talk to me about some fantasy implications of this game.
You know what's a good way to not run up the score? Keep giving Jonathan Taylor the ball every time, and the score will naturally run itself up.
It might run itself up, though, because he might just start taking 60-yard runs to the house.
I didn't think that Jaguars defense looked that bad. I think they're much improved.
Yeah. I want to motivate a Colts line, offensive line. I want to motivate Jonathan Taylor. I mean, God, it gets me worked up just thinking about it, bro. Like, I know that offensive line room is going to come out wanting to prove something. I'm sure they've gone to the coaching staff and been like, look, run it down their fucking throats, guys, okay? So I want to bet, like, Taylor to something. I don't know what the odds are. Something Taylor to get, like, 200 yards rushing or something ridiculous like that. Give me amazing odds.
Can you pull some of those odds?
Yeah, I was about to say 2+ touchdowns, plus 310, 3+ touchdowns, 12-1.
2+ isn't bad, though.
Yeah, 2+ isn't bad. To score a touchdown in both halves, plus 550. And then I'm trying to find, usually they have to score a touchdown and win because he's only minus 175 to score a touchdown. Mind you, I'm not laying that juice on him to score. Mm-hmm. But if you have them tied to the Colts money line, that's probably around like minus 110 to even money.
I mean, if they win, he'll probably score. So I like that.
Good point in the chat here by Zach Hudson. Oh, also, Uncle T wants you to watch your language there, Kurt. But 9.9 on DK, which is significant because Christian McCaffrey's 8.9, and then it drops all the way down to 7,400. If you take that mid-range route we talked about with the receivers earlier, you have a chance to get there, Kurt. You think that he's going to have a big game, but is he worth 9.9?
I mean, of course, I can't talk about all this and say I'm going to fade him. I'm definitely going to play him. I'm sure he'll be extremely low owned, too.
Because the price is just so prohibitive.
Yeah, the price I think will keep him down. Everyone's gonna go to McCaffrey. So going cheap when on those lines, just been down at quarterback. I mean, Bengals Z's 2,200. I mean, you plug in a cheap quarterback and do 2.2, and then there you go. Jonathan Taylor, pick a cheap receiver. You can still work it out.
I found that prop. It's plus 110. Jonathan Taylor scored a touchdown. Colts win on FanDuel.
What's do you have yardage props?
Give me 1 second.
I want 200. That has to be like decent odds.
Got to be 3 or 4 to 1. 200's a lot of yards.
I mean, they only alt his yards up to plus 150 on FanDuel, but it goes 100 yards minus 125, plus 110 plus 118, 125 plus 2 to 1, 150 plus yards plus 430. I think that's definitely
huge
because 150 is definitely in the range for him in this game.
I love that. I love that bet. I like Jacksonville in this game. And I still think I think he could easily get there, and Jacksonville could still cover the spread, especially if it moves back as some Colts money starts to move in here. This next game just got pulled off my board, Tyler. It was 2.5 before it got pulled off the board. I'm talking about the Buccaneers and the Saints. Is there some news?
I think it's receiver news. Because I'm a Bucs fan, so I follow him. I think he was tweeting about the receivers practicing, and Godwin might have been.
Yeah, Godwin just did something.
Probably rolled out, but Julio and everyone else is fine. So I don't.
Do you think that they just released 2.5 didn't?
Well, they released all the info on Underdog for that game just now. Mm-hmm. Mark Ingram listed questionable. Jameis Winston listed questionable. Godwin rolled out. Evans questionable. Fournette questionable. Gage, Julio, Tristan Wirfs, and Brashad Perryman all questionable.
Yeah, maybe they just put it off for that reason.
Who was it?
Did you say Donovan Smith?
No, he's not on there.
Wow, sweet. All right, cool.
Okay, this one's tough. I love New Orleans at the beginning of the week here, but the Jameis Winston injury is the one that worries me. Now, I do think he's going to be out there. I'm worried that it limits his effectiveness or that he gets knocked out during the game going against one of the best defenses in the league. Kind of like the Jacksonville, Indianapolis narrative earlier, though. The Saints have had a lot of success with their division rivals, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I like the Saints at 3. The market agreed with me. They bet it down to 2.5. It's off the board right now, but when it comes back up, it's either going to be 2.5 or 3. We'll talk about it at those numbers. Tyler, what do you think, man? I thought this was going to be like my best bet when I looked at the numbers earlier in the week, but all this injury news is moving me away from this game. Am I missing some value?
No, I don't think so. This is another game. I think it's either you got to plant your flag on the Saints that beat this team for the last few years and you trust their defense, or you think Brady's just going to come in and do his thing and finally beat this team in the regular season. Me personally, after what I've seen from their offensive line versus Dallas, and Dallas couldn't get anything going on the other side of the ball, Tampa was able to get some points in that game. They only scored 1 touchdown. They kicked a bunch of field goals. They moved it up and down the field pretty well. But there was moments where that offensive line, you've seen it. Brady didn't have much time, and he was getting frustrated. Now he's going to play a defense with a better secondary that can cover these receivers better. And a lot of these guys are banged up now. So me personally, I'm not taking a side. I'm just give me the under. I think they keep Tampa Bay low scoring. And I don't think the Saints are putting up a ton of points either. So that under 44.5, I like.
All right. He's on the
Another
under.
Guy that's also questionable here, spread, is Kamara. He's also questionable with a ribs injury.
Yeah, that's worrisome as well. But the thing is, I think if, let's say, Kamara gets knocked out in the first quarter, okay, that's definitely a downgrade. But if Jameis gets knocked out, and I disagree with DJ, he says I like Saints more if Jameis gets hurt. Not me. Andy Dalton? No way. So, Kurt, Tyler likes the under, which usually isn't a good sign if you're building your lineups. What is your approach to this game?
First off, I hate to be a Jameis homer here, but do you know his record with the Saints? Do you know his passer rating with the Saints?
What is he now, 6-2? And
his passer rating's through the roof with the Saints, and I'm pretty sure he's way over 500 as a Saint. 6-2.
He's 6-2. Right. Yeah, he's 6-2 with the Saints.
I mean, that team was rolling until when they got going, until he got hurt. That's a very bad take. I know he's probably kidding, but I'm a Florida State fan, so I'm gonna come to Jameis's defense. But that being said, if he's healthy, I think there's way too many injuries right now to make a bet. I think you really have a problem if you're betting this game right now without any of the news. But once everything comes through, if it's just Godwin's out and everyone else is fine, I'm going to lean the Saints. I think they just give us hell. Joe Hensley, whatever. I knew he was a problem watching him in the preseason for the Bucs. He sucks, dude. Like, he is hot, sweaty, trash. I mean, he can't hold a block for like a half a second, and he's going to get punished. So give me the Saints. They're at home. I hate to bet against my Bucs again because Dallas looked terrible, but Saints.
Question from Zach Hudson. Would you play Taysom Hill? What do you think, Kurt?
Didn't he get priced up? Is he 4-5 now?
I will double check that right now. Is he in the QB section or the tight end?
No, he's tight end. What is he?
So how does that work? If he ends up playing like 20 snaps at quarterback, are you just set?
They moved him, I guess. He's 4-4. I guess they moved. Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, even if Jameis is in, I don't mind it, but you're risking a lot there. If Jameis is out, definitely.
Did they move him to quarterback? I don't see him on tight end.
Yeah, he's on quarterback now. He's 4-4.
Okay, I can't find him. Interesting. All right. Well, that's not a bad look. And like he said, that's going to be an interesting look because you're going to need that information, and that's why you should be a member of runpuresports.com. You'll get access to the premium show that goes up to lock, giving you all the winners. You'll have access to all the cores and, of course, the player pool. So make sure you head on over to runpuresports.com. Use that promo code NFL15 to become a member. If you're already a member, use the promo code GetBets. Came back on my board, this Buccaneers Saints, back to 2.5, 44.5. So I don't even know why I went down. Carolina Panthers are plus 2.5 against the Giants. I didn't bet it, but I like the Panthers here. Here's my idea. I know the Panthers line looked bad last week. I just don't think the Giants line is as good as the Browns line, particularly Myles Garrett, who's inarguably a top 5 pass rusher in the NFL. So you take that out. Also, Baker Mayfield, first time in the offense, felt like he was getting going there in the second half. Take some of that momentum. And I'm assuming, and this is a big assumption with this guy, right? But that Matt Rule and everyone will learn from their mistakes and get Christian McCaffrey more involved. Giants win. Hey, that was a great win. But I also felt that Tennessee and a lot of the mistakes they made allowed them to be in that position. Tennessee should have put that game away, and they make a couple decisions, execute a couple plays a little bit better, and Giants can't pull that game off, and I think we have a different thing. I think we talked about overreaction week. Now that's baked in because every show that you listen to, I assume you guys all listen to other previews as well. They all talk about overreaction week. So it's one of those things that, maybe you could get away with it 10, 15 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago. Seems like it's baked into the lines pretty much here, but I still feel like we're getting an edge here with the Giants. I can't believe they're laying 2.5. I like the Panthers here, but I haven't bet it. I wanted to talk to you, Tyler. What do you think, man? Am I missing something in this Giants-Panthers game?
No, I don't think so. I mean, you talked about this being like the week 1 overreaction spot where everyone thinks the Giants are like a great team. They picked up that win. I think it's the letdown spot for them. You've seen how emotional they got after that week 1 win. They were all celebrating on the field. Carolina was also an emotional game, but it was more so of just their quarterback. He was playing his former team. He wanted to pick up the win. Now that's out of the way. The Giants aren't going to pass rush Baker Mayfield as much as Cleveland did. Like the Myles Garrett and them guys were all over him. I don't see Thibodeau, Leonard Williams, and these guys. They could cause some trouble, but I don't think they cause as much as Garrett and them did. And that's just going to give Baker more time to hit these weapons down the sideline. I don't see Barkley going for 150-some yards and a touchdown again. And I think you're going to need that in any game the Giants win because I don't see Daniel Jones and these receivers putting it together. So, give me Carolina at the plus money here, spread.
Kurt, he mentioned the name I wanted to ask you about. Saquon Barkley was the guy I'd almost kind of written off. He looked back to that guy coming out of Penn State last week. I think Tennessee actually has a pretty good defense. Most of my criticism with them is the offense, how it's handled, their offensive coordinator, and their lack of weapons. I still think that defense is pretty good. Saquon looked quick. Saquon looked explosive. Saquon's back. What do you think about this game, side and total? And then, of course, should I be putting Saquon Barkley into my player pool?
So I'm hoping he gets steamed up. I want to kind of do an ownership fade on Barkley. I was heavy on him last week. I think the offensive line's improved. I think he'll have a good game, but I'm more hopeful that he'll be chalky and fail for me. Just maybe not get in the end zone, maybe not catch like 10 passes. Just kind of have a mediocre game. It's an ownership fade for me simply because I don't like this game that much. I'm going to lean Carolina side. I'm going to go back to McCaffrey. Sterling Shepard, might want to look at his prop. It's 41.5 in games that he's completed healthy with Daniel Jones. I'm pretty sure every single one of those games, or at least 80% of them, he has 60 yards or more and like almost like a half a touchdown or something. So his 41.5 prop I like. I like going back to him in fantasy as well, especially with Tony. Even though Tony only played like 15 snaps last week, apparently he's a little banged up. They're not going to probably push him too much with that hamstring. More targets for Shepard. I think Wandell might be out again this week. He was hurt earlier in that game. More Shepard snaps. He's 4,900. Going back to the Saints game, Juwan Johnson tied in for the Saints, and all the Saints pass catchers are in play for me if James is okay. Juwan Johnson's really cheap. Ran 2,500. Ran like all their tight end snaps. Former Tennessee receiver, I'm pretty sure. So give me the Carolina side. Give me McCaffrey and Shepard. So hopefully kind of have that Carolina's holding the lead.
So you do like McCaffrey there at 8,900 more than Saquon at 7,300?
Yeah, like I said, Barkley's just an ownership fade for me. I don't think he's a bad play at all. I'm just trying to get a little bit cute, and hopefully I can come on the good. I need to see what he's going to be owned, but I think that's how I'm going to play it.
McCaffrey wasn't used very often, still has the high total. What do you expect from his ownership?
I expect them to get him the ball more, especially coming off a loss. It's like I'm pretty sure they're just trying to keep him healthy for the year, but what's the point in that if you're just going to lose games because of it? I think they're going to beat him.
I completely agree, and it's not a must win, but it's we pretty much have to,
NFL everywhere is a must win.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels like this, especially with the pressure on Matt Rule. There's already, I'm not sure, Tyler, is he the leader right now to be first fired?
He was the favorite before the season. Yeah, he's definitely the leader.
So you got to think that they're feeling the pressure there in Carolina. Still don't know if I love that. I mean, if I go into Sunday and I don't have to bet on this game, I don't have a bet on this game, I don't think I'll feel too upset. But I do like the Carolina side.
I know you're not going to switch to the next game and not talk about this being like the dream matchup for our interception props. This is the two guys we bet every week spread over half an interception, and they usually
we must be in a different order. What game were you talking about?
Well, I'm not letting you get to the next game. I'm talking about Carolina, New York Giants.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Because I was like, we're not doing that in Pittsburgh, are we? Yeah. No, let's hear it. Interceptions. Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was just saying. There's one's minus 120. Daniel Jones is plus money. Both of them threw a pick last week. If they get pressure on either of these guys, they're both going to panic and throw a weird pass. the interceptions are coming here spread. So I'm betting both these guys over half an interception again.
You're going to get no arguments from me. I absolutely love those bets. I think interceptions might be one of the best markets that we've been doing, Tyler. We'll definitely have to keep track of that. But let's go to who was the man that might be the greatest football coach of all time, but he's facing. Could he be passing the torch to the new greatest coach, Mike Tomlin, who got it done with the Pittsburgh Steelers? Belichick, man, I mean, everyone's got a time, right? Like as football players get older in their late 30s and maybe 70s here for the coaches. And my main criticism of Bill Belichick, of course, is the fact that he's got Matt Patricia and Joe Judge running the offense. Very detrimental for a quarterback that I don't think has a high ceiling in the first place with Mac Jones. Now, I say you lose Josh McDaniels, but it's like a wins over replacement deal. If you would replace him, right, with Joe Brady, not that big a deal, right? Let Brady work with Mac Jones. I think everything's going to be great. And you have Matt Patricia working with him with the little pencil in his ear, yelling at him for not being dressed well in meetings. And Joe Judge, I mean, yeah, you can get these guys get you fired up, but this isn't the weight room. You're trying to teach this guy how to play quarterback. I'm out on the Patriots. I thought that, this defensive roster, take Belichick away, and there's not a lot on this roster that's going to tell you about this. And everyone's going to say, well, Belichick 7-0 against Tomlin. And normally I do like those streaks, but I'm going against the streak here. Give me my guys, even though it could be a letdown spot. Tomlin gets them going up. And you know what I was thinking? Tyler, your team's so awesome. You got Mr. Intensity and then Mr. Intensity Jr. with Brian Flores. I mean, this team, it probably is the most accountable team. I was thinking if you could bet an over-under on number of time guys are late to meeting, I mean, I bet you nobody messes with those guys. I love this coaching staff here. Of course, there are some questions with TJ Watt out, and we're worried about Najee Harris. What's the scene out there in Pittsburgh, Tyler? How are you feeling? How's Najee Harris feeling? What's the attitude going on?
Well, I was hoping you got the TJ Watt after you got done with your love fest on the coaches because he's the biggest name in this game. Because with him not in there, you seen it last week. Their pass rush kind of died against Joe Burrow, and they clinged on to a victory there that they somehow got after kickers continued to miss field goals. Najee Harris says he's going to play in this game. I think that Liz Frank injury is just going to continue to give him problems all year. I think you'll see him play a little bit here and there, and then he'll go out of games because you're just not going to be able to give this guy a full workload when he's not 100%. He says he's going to play. I want to bet his unders if I get a decent number on those, so I'll keep an eye on those. I think New England's going to come in here and win those spread. Wow. Pittsburgh off the big emotional win.
You're not going to be popular. You better check your food when you order out to eat, Tyler. After all your neighbors see you give out.
Yeah, they come off a big divisional game against a team that blew them out to finish off last year with Cincinnati. They beat them. Now they're playing a team that always gives them troubles. They lose their best defender, their best offensive players banged up. Mitch didn't look good under center. Like if New England can just run the ball here pretty decently, their play action pass and dink and dunk game will win this game for them against Pittsburgh.
My argument would even without TJ Watt, Pittsburgh has a better defense. Would you agree?
Yes, but does their offense much better than New England's?
I mean, they have way better wide receivers.
But look at the guy throwing to him, spread. He couldn't hit him whatsoever last week. It took Deontay Johnson stretching out to the point where he almost ripped in half to grab that ball and then touch his toe on the ground.
Yeah. Yeah, all right. Well, maybe Kenny Pickett can come in at halftime. We're opposite on this game.
I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of them games where it's like third quarter and we're sitting there. It's like it's 3-0. Like no points are being scored. Both defenses just kind of have these offenses sputtering. Mitch had his few
under
chances.
40.5?
Yeah, I do personally, but it's a low number. I'm probably not going to bet it, but I'd see that pathway where this game's just 10-7 at the end.
All right, Kurt, what do you think here? I like the Steelers. Tyler likes the Patriots. Break the tie.
I got a hot take. I'm not betting this game because I think that it could go either way, honestly. If TJ Watt was in, it'd be a pick 'em, right? Like he's worth the 2.5 points almost. I think there's no way you're not betting this team if TJ Watt's in, especially this game, at least me personally. I have a really hot take. My Barkley fade is going to be for good reason. It's going to be for this guy. Najee Harris, I don't care about his foot. He had no injury designation. No one's going to play him. There is no reason to play Najee Harris this week. There's no reason. No one wants to play him. He has a broken foot. He didn't do good last week. There's no reason. Hey, guess what? If you're scared, go to church. I'm going way over on Najee Harris this week. I think he might score the only touchdown Pittsburgh scores in this game. I think if they're behind, I think he gets catches. I think he's going to come out and everyone's going to be like, oh, my God, look at his foot's fine. He's doing good. That's what's going to happen. If you watch NFL long enough, this is the kind of shit that happens. Give me way over on Najee Harris. I'm not betting the game, though. I think Najee Harris will out the under.
I think you hinted there towards the Steelers side, because if Najee Harris has a big game, if you could tell me that right now, I'm going to go.
Doesn't it worry you a bit, Kurt, that they've like talked this injury up since the offseason, though? Like, this has been something they've had on their like agenda board. Like, he might deal with this injury, and then all of a sudden, week 1, it shows up.
With everything negative, I just think it's going to be a pain tolerance thing. I'm not a doctor, but if he's not even on the injury report anymore, I'm guessing it's going to be a major pain tolerance thing. I think he's a tough son of a bitch. Shoot him up a little bit. It's the NFL. 15 weeks, and we'll get through it. So that's why I love him. There's no reason to play him. Everyone thinks he has a broken foot. He's basically out there on one leg. Give me that guy. And let's just hope that there's a 30% chance he's not, and he'll crush 6.2.
If anyone could motivate me to play through a broken foot, it would be Mike Tomlin. Atlanta Falcons +10, heading to Los Angeles to take on the defending champion Rams, coming off that spanking at the hands of the Buffalo Bills. They've had 10 days to get ready, and we've had 7 days to watch the Falcons get bet. Tyler, this was 13.5 when it opened, immediately jumps to 12.5, and has slowly been sinking. Hey guys, keep betting the Falcons. I want to get -9.5. Get this below double digits for me so I can jump in on the Rams. I mean, boy, this Falcons team, talk about a tough loss, man. I mean, you got to feel, if you're this team coming off a loss like that, I wonder what it does for the psyche. Of course, these guys are professionals. They're going to get back, but it just makes me wonder how they're going to handle success if they get some early in this game. Of course, I think the Rams will have that sense of urgency. Kurt mentioned earlier how every week is a must win, and maybe now we see a little bit more of Stafford in practice. Obviously, they should be making a concerted effort to get Allen Robinson more involved, because just Cooper Kupp is not going to cut it. Still, the uncertainty about the starting running back, which is crazy to me because they need the explosiveness of Cam Akers in my mind, but I'm not sure how that's going to go. Regardless, I don't care. I can't take the Falcons. I had them +5.5 at home last week. Now they got to go cross country against a team with extra rest. I want the Rams, especially if it gets down to 9.5. What are your thoughts, Tyler?
Yeah, as from the side, I just don't want to fade this Atlanta team, because as much as their offense and their team looks poor, they're just a weirdly constructed team that's going to give teams troubles every week. Like, they have playmakers in Pitts, Drake London, Cordell Patterson. Like, they're just a tough cover for certain teams. And I think it's going to be another spot right here where they kind of keep this close, and then the Rams etch out a win in the end. But I also see the pathway where their pass defense just gets shredded by Stafford and Kupp, and the Rams just run it up on them. So my pathway for this game spread, just give me the over 46.5. I think Atlanta's going to be able to score some points on the Rams, and I think Kupp just shreds them. So both teams put up points. I think they get up into the 50s here. Over 46.5 is going to be the bet for me.
I like the Rams. Tyler likes the over. What are your thoughts on this game, Kurt?
I think I'm going to lean I don't want to take those points. This is going to be a stay away bet for me, because I agree with Tyler. I think they're a tough cover. I mean, at all three levels, from the running back position, Cordell Patterson's a hard cover. It's weird. And then you got Pitts over the middle, and you got London, who's just big and long and fast. So you never know. It makes it hard to cover especially if you're up. Say if you're up 20 late, and then they just start going full prevent. The Falcons team will move the ball when you're in prevent, and they'll somehow cover a spread. I think the Rams do come out motivated, but I'm just going to stay away. For DFS, I think we all kind of got puddly-winked last week. I don't think the plan was ever for Akers to come out and have a full workload. I think the whole plan was to ease him into it, so I'm going to stay away from the situation right now. I would like to see Akers look healthy this week, but everyone's going to go to Henderson. I faded him before, and it's killed me. I'm just going to continue to do it. Last year, I think he had one of his big games. I didn't have him. I don't think he's that good. I think he's a solid NFL back, but I don't think he's worth paying 40% ownership on. You just keep playing Cup, I guess, and I'm going to keep losing money on Kyle Pitts. I don't care. I'll just keep betting his props. I'll keep taking it in DFS. I don't care if I go broke. When he goes off, I'll get some money back. Probably not all of it. But
all right, talk to me about key pieces in this game. First one, Matt Stafford, only 6,300. Should bounce back, I would hope, unless that elbow is really an issue. Any interest in Matt Stafford?
Yeah. Because you can do the stacks with him and Cup, and then running back with London or Pitts. So, yeah, I don't mind that, especially since we like the over. I'm staying away from Robinson as well. I've so much invested in him, but take a wait and see.
All right. Well, you answered both my next questions because I was going to say London
Pat-
and Robinson were the other two that I was worried about.
I love
London sitting there at 5,200, Robinson 5,500.
I'd be careful with Patterson. This script will work perfect for him. He's 6K, but last week he did get all those snaps because Damian Williams got knocked out early and rookie Tyler Algier wasn't active. I do think Algier will be active this week. They've had high praise from out of camp, so I'm sure he'll take some snaps. So be cautious with Patterson. If you're in love with him, just know that those snaps are going to come down a little bit this week.
Interesting. All right. That's some good knowledge there. I did not realize that, but I did hear all the same thing about Tyler Algiers coming out of camp. Next game in the afternoon bracket or the evening for you gentlemen, the Seattle Seahawks coming off what was probably their Super Bowl, right? I mean, I almost expected confetti to fall down, right? And to give themselves a trophy after they defeated the Denver Broncos. Or did they? Or did the Denver Broncos defeat themselves? Now they're catching 9. So this is like the ultimate letdown spot, right? And so, let's take the Niners. We talked about earlier laying points with Jacoby Brissett. I'm even less comfortable at this point of his career. Now, don't bring this back when he blows up in week 9 and say, you didn't like Trey Lance. But right now, man, I'm not ready to get behind Trey Lance laying 9 points here at home. I mean, if you're doing that, you're essentially fading the Seahawks. I didn't think the defense looked that bad. Would be interested to see. Geno looked really good in the first half. Once the Denver Broncos defense settled in, it was the Geno that we expected. So is it 49ers defense better than the Broncos? I don't know. It's definitely a debate. They're both elite defenses. Total here is 40. I made arguments for both teams, and I keep going back and forth, Tyler. It's like I don't want to take Seattle in the letdown spot, but I don't want to lay 9 points with Trey Lance. It almost feels like voting in a presidential election. The lesser of two evils. Which one do you think, Tyler?
I'm going to have to side with San Fran here, spread, but it's a big number, but I think it's a team we had penciled in to be not a Super Bowl contender right off the bat because we weren't sure about Lance, but the rest of their roster was a Super Bowl contender. Then they lose a game to Chicago. Now everybody kind of thinks Seattle picked up a win against Denver when Denver shot themselves in the foot how many times? They fumbled the ball twice on the one. They had all the penalty calls. So I kind of take that game with a grain of salt on both sides because San Francisco was also playing football in a puddle. Like there wasn't a blade of grass they could see that wasn't underwater on Sunday.
Yeah, you can't downgrade Lance for last week, but I'm just going
Aaron
off
Rodgers
last
wasn't
year
throwing the ball
and
on
training
that field.
camp reports.
So I'm going to side with him here. I also seen this crazy trend on Twitter spread. Since 2003, teams are 92, 58, and 3 against the spread the week after playing Chicago. I think it's a weird one, but
isn't Pittsburgh the opposite? Or no, the Ravens? One of those NFC, AFC North
I think it's the Ravens.
Because they always just beat you up. Yeah.
Yep. We always lose to the Bears, no matter who their roster is.
Yeah. All right. That doesn't surprise me. What do you think? I think game is tough. I want to fade both teams, Kurt. Who do you like?
So I'm going to go San Fran. I'm going to give you a little reason. So San Francisco's whole thing is they pull their guards, they pull their center, they pull everyone on all their running schemes. They're almost pulling someone every play. And if you think it's hard to run for a skill player in a downpour like that, imagine the 300 and some pound lineman. It ain't easy to get out and pulling because you got to be getting it up. Okay, it's tough. So I think this week it's supposed to rain a little bit, but definitely won't be like that last week. I think Shanahan's whole scheme will flow a lot better in a game where you can actually get your lineman out and they can actually get some traction. So give me San Fran. I like Debo 7.8. I think when he says they're going to do a running back by committee, I think it means Debo is going to be doing most of it with Jeff Wilson getting the goal line stuff. So give me Debo 7.8. Give me the San Fran side. I think the Seattle win last week was so emotional. They got Geno was the emotional win for Geno. They got an ex-Broncos player. I think it's a big letdown spot. And, so give me San Fran. Give me those guys.
All right, let's say, you're sitting here, you're in the chat, you're like, spread, you have no idea what you're talking about. Trey Lance is an absolute stud. He's sitting there at 5,700, and while I'm down on him, especially from a betting perspective, there's no way I can't acknowledge that he probably has the potential to break the slate every single week. I like Seattle a lot. Pete Carroll, I hope I'm that energetic, even when I'm 60 years old, as Pete Carroll is. But the roster really isn't that good. Any interest in swinging for the fences there with Trey Lance at 5,700?
Well, I kind of hinted earlier on the show. I'm playing Jonathan Taylor, so I need these cheap quarterbacks. And any cheap quarterback that is that mobile and can get goal line carries, yes. So I will be definitely playing Trey Lance.
Let's just talk about that real quick. Who else is in that range there? Carson Wentz at 5,800, Tua 5,600, Mariota 5,600. We also talked Mariota could be playing, against a prevent for the whole second half if that Rams defense bounces back. Matt Ryan there at 5,500, and your guy Jameis at 5,500. So here's where I am. To me, I think Trey Lance is almost the least attractive option out of all these people, but at the same time, probably going to have low ownership in that mid-range for quarterback. If you do run that Jonathan Taylor, or you're spending up for a Devontae Adams or a Cooper Kupp, which quarterback do you like in that range?
So this goes well with the Jonathan Taylor. You got Trevor Lawrence, 5.3. You could easily get a rushing touchdown. I do like my boy Jameis. He's not mobile, but he's 5.5. And if he's healthy, he has some vengeance towards the Tampa Bay defense. And Mariota, he's a 10-point favorite. The guy can run. So these are the guys that I'm going to have in my pool. That way I can fit these studs.
All right.
Greg, I know he's $500 more than Trey Lance and these guys. Derek Carr's got to be on that list since he's right there waiting with Arizona to play. He's going to light them up.
He was in my second lineup. I think Renfro goes off this week. My second lineup was a stack with him, Renfro, and I think I ran it back with Adams too.
Well, let's just jump out of order and go straight to that game then. Arizona Cardinals +5 in Las Vegas taking on the Raiders. Both teams coming off a loss. The Raiders, a tough loss. The Cardinals get absolutely embarrassed by the Chiefs, and now they're back in Las Vegas. Derek Carr, even though the team did get embarrassed, he had to be embarrassed by that performance, but he was going against the best pass rushing duo in the league. Andre James, the center for the Raiders, could be out. That could be an issue because he's the second best lineman to begin with on a line that's not very good. Kurt, okay, I got a billion questions for you. First of all, have you ever seen that offensive line by committee that McDaniels pulled last week? Have you ever seen where the right guard and the right tackle are coming in and out like they're wide receivers or running backs? I've never seen that before. You're muted, but I got to hear this.
I've seen it in college pretty often, actually. Especially
is it a good idea? Am I like crazy for down? I mean, it's like upset about it.
In the NFL, I think it's probably an issue if you're doing that. In college, I could definitely see it because I mean.
And what's the reasoning? Just to keep them fresh?
In the NFL, I don't know. It could definitely be that. In college, I could definitely see it. Passing situations when you're on like when basically it's like a 2-minute offense and it's a guy who can do some draw blocking, stuff like that, who's not really a power blocker. You can kind of do it. But in the NFL, I mean, with the pro style offense and stuff, I have no reason why he's doing it, but it's definitely can't be anything good. It's not that those guys are both good. They need playing time.
It's just so crazy that a team with this many questions on the offensive line, and we all know how important line play is in the NFL, they're laying 5 points. But I don't want to bet on Kyler.
Continuity.
Oh my gosh!
I think continuity in the offensive line is massive. I would rather have 100% continuity than a guy who's slightly better who has no communication with his right guard. So I think it's really stupid that he was doing that, to be honest. But I'm going to go to the Raiders side. I think Arizona is just really bad. And my boy, who I played college football with, Gardeck, stripped Juju last week. Mm-hmm. So that was pretty cool. But I'm going to go to Raiders, 5.5. Don't mind it.
Yeah, it's all the way down to 5. Cardinals are taking money, which doesn't surprise me, though, because this look ahead was 3.5. And this look ahead was made when we knew about all the Cardinals injuries. So it's not like we can say they're getting downgraded because of injury. I think they're getting downgraded by performance. And I can understand why people thought it was a bit too much. It keeps going down here. I don't know. This is a tough game. It almost feels to me like the Niners Seahawks game, Tyler, where I feel like I have reasons to fade both teams. The Cardinals just for not being that good, and the Raiders because of the offensive line issues. What are your thoughts on the Raiders and the Cardinals?
Yeah, I mean, give me the Raiders here. I think this is literally pretty much the same matchup they had last week. It's just the offense and the team overall is just a tad bit worse on the other side. Like KC was just able to walk in, put their foot on their throat, finish them off. In the first
Are you worried, though, because Carr can't handle a blitz nearly as well as Mahomes?
I'm not as worried when this defense is as bad as Arizona's. Okay. Like, Arizona's defense is terrible right now. Unless they
right now, it's been terrible for like the last 5 years.
Yeah, and plus all the guys injured on them, so they're even worse right now than what their current roster was coming into the year. So I gotta side with Las Vegas here. I think they just go through them like a knife through butter, like KC did. Carr just hits whichever receiver is wide open. Waller has a day, Renfro has a day, Adams has a day. And whenever they want to, they could just run the ball for 5 yards with Josh Jacobs. So they give me Vegas here. I think they win this game by like 10.
As a Raiders fan, man, I hope you're right. I don't have the faith with the lack of blocking that I saw last week. Kurt, with the total of 51.5, this game should be popular. What do you think? Do you embrace the chalk there, or is this a way to get different?
Well, I already mentioned the Raiders guys I'm playing, but I also like Josh Jacobs. I'm not going to go if you go Card, Jacobs, Renfro, I don't mind that. But like I said, in my second build, I had Carr, Renfro, Adams. But Jacobs in there 5.8. I think they're going to try to get him a little bit more involved this week. It's nice not having Kenyon Drake there anymore either. I know they got White some snaps, but 5.8, man, for a guy who could score twice, and I think as a team that's going to be holding the lead, it's hard to not like that a lot. And I'm going to have Connor and Brown. Don't mind them this week. I'm not going to play more than like 2 skill players for the Cardinals. I'm going to stick to 1. Greg Dortch is way too cheap. Had like 11 targets. He's going to be chalky, but I don't mind that either.
I mean, 11 targets at 3,500. How could you not like that?
Wake Forest legend, I believe. Greg Dortch.
I could see this game scoring a lot. I'm not too high on the Raiders defense either. Maybe that's because I'm a fan, so I'm just more aware of all their flaws. I think this could be a high-scoring game, and boy, Greg Dortch, definitely a good option. Let's talk about what I think was probably going to be my squarest play of the week, and that's going to be taking the Cincinnati Bengals on the road, laying 7.5 with a total of 42 in Dallas, with the Dak Prescott-less Dallas Cowboys. Cooper Rush starting at quarterback for this team. And I know a lot of people think, hey, this is too many points because the number was at 9 at one point this week. Now it's down to 7.5, and it looks like it might get to 7 the way that it's getting juiced on bookmakers. Plus 7.5, minus 117 right now for the Dallas Cowboys. Seems like people like the Cowboys, and I guess I can understand why here with the backup quarterback. Maybe they run the ball a little more. Maybe it actually makes the offense a tad bit better getting the ball in 2 explosive playmakers. Well, I don't know if Zeke is still explosive, but just for sake of argument, let's say that he is. And Tony Pollard there. Maybe they're better off running the ball, but boy, I think this is a great get-back spot for the Cincinnati Bengals. We talked earlier about how Pittsburgh prepared for this team, built their team to beat this team, knows them so well, got so motivated for that game. I think the Bengals get a chance to bounce back here. Tyler, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm with you on this one. Give me Cincinnati. I don't even hate doing an AFC North teaser spread. We were looking for somebody to pair with Cleveland. Mm-hmm. Cincinnati down to 1. I think they beat this Dallas team outright with Cooper Rush under center. They come back. They get these receivers going against Trayvon Diggs and company. I mean, you seen Diggs when he covered Mike Evans. There was almost like a 5-yard gap every time Mike Evans turned around to catch the ball. Mm-hmm. What do you think Chase, Boyd, and if Higgins plays, what do you think they're going to do, spread? Like, Chase might put up godly numbers on Sunday against Diggs. So give me Cincy here. They should be able to run the ball also. Michael Parsons might get the Burrow a few times, but I'm not worried about it as much this week.
All right, I like it. I think I'm going to put that teaser in right now. Kurt, stop me if I shouldn't. What do you think? Cowboys have a chance?
Look, like I mentioned earlier, offensive line is all about continuity. I mean, there was 2 or 3 guys. I know for a fact there's 2 new guys. Might have been more than that. It takes a minute to really – you have to be like hand in hand with the guy beside you, the guard or the center. You have to be basically like one organism. So I think it's going to take them some time to get going. I think this could be the week that they really put it on and get it going. Joe Mixon 7.2. For guys like him and Fournette and Barkley and McCaffrey, those guys, they're so non-script dependent. Like if they're behind, they're going to get there. If they're ahead, they're going to get there. So love Joe Mixon. He's scriptless, even though I absolutely don't see a script where they're behind. But I think he can punish them and catch some passes. I think the offensive line looks a lot better this week. Take the Bengals, take the points, stack it up. If you don't go too crazy, because I think it's going to be a lowish scoring game. I don't think the Bengals are going to try to put it on them because I think it could get bad early. So give me some Mixon. And, of course, the old Burrow Chase stack is never going to hurt anybody.
Yeah, interesting there at $8K, right? A little bit cheaper than Devontae Adams, who's sitting there at 8.6. I think you got to be pretty interested in Chase. Seems like a great spot for him, right? Because it felt like he was coming alive in that second half as well.
It's like I think Hoop mentioned on one of the shows where it's like these receivers, like no matter what you do, man, it's just so hard to cover them. Like, I mean, yeah. You can stop a running back with game planning and stuff, but for Chase and Jefferson, like, I mean, well, Jefferson, they should definitely put a cornerback on him more often, but it still doesn't matter. These guys are so talented. They're going to get open, dude. If you're going to give them 15 targets, they're going to get there every week.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters who you put on Chase. You can put 3 guys on him.
Same thing with Jefferson. It really doesn't. Like, and it's just Scary.
Jefferson's also in that nice spot now with his new coach and OC. They're scheming him into these spots where he's drawing a linebacker, and it's like, oh, see ya, he's going down the field.
No Cooper Kupp.
Another stat I heard from the Cincinnati game last week, I think Jamar Chase caught 10 balls in that game against Pittsburgh. Every single one of them was for a first down. So he's chunk playing every time he catches the ball.
Air yards season.
Yep.
Oh, that's fantastic knowledge there. Okay, so we all agreed on the Bengals. Hopefully that won't be the kiss of death. Boy, Denver Broncos fans are feeling like they have the kiss of death with Nathaniel Hackett as their head coach. And Tyler, I talk about you young guys always saying, this is the worst of all time, or this guy's the greatest of all time, just off one thing. But here I am, 46 years old, saying I can't remember a coaching sequence that was worse than that, going back to when I started watching the NFL early, mid-'80s. I mean,
do you guys ever see those memes where like the person's looking at something and then like it starts flashing back to like the war and they're seeing like real flashbacks? That's what I saw that entire Monday night game with everything tied to Denver.
Yeah, unbelievable there for a team that I know that you were high on for the preseason, but some flaws were exposed into that game. Now, to be fair, the Russell Wilson put up the yards. Those fumbles aren't going to happen again. The question is, are they good enough to be double-digit favorites at home? Another thing, they've always done well at home in September. It's a little warmer there. The altitude really kicks in at that point. And maybe, hey, send McManus out for a 64-yarder in Denver. I still can't believe they did that in Seattle. Regardless, can they cover this spread of 10? And what do you think of the total of 45, Tyler?
Would you say you have the spread at?
I am -10 for the Broncos.
Okay, I'm seeing 9.5. So really much.
And this was 10.5. It doesn't surprise me that the Texans are taking money.
Yeah, really not much off here. I mean, I love the connection Russ built with those receivers in game one. He looked really good throwing them the ball. Mm-hmm. And to take a line out of your book spread, this might have been their first their preseason game. Exactly. They didn't play any of these guys in the preseason. Now you see both their running backs fumble on the goal line. Their defense is getting a bunch of penalties that are giving up field position and giving them free first downs. And then they lose the game by 1. So it's like, I think that was more like knocking the rust off. Now, to be a 9.5-point favorite the week after, that's tough. But the altitude playing into effect here, their defense should be able to lock up most of what Houston does. And unless Brandon Cook starts taking plays for 45 yards, I don't know where they're getting any offense from. So, and Jonathan Taylor woke up.
What about our guy Pierce, the darling of the best ball community?
You mean the guy that's the second string running back behind veteran Rex
they
Burkhead?
said they're going to get him.
They said that last week too, Spread.
Are you telling me you don't trust Lovey?
No.
You don't believe in Love?
I don't trust a single NFL coach from what they say. If it's in the media, they might be throwing you a smoke screen.
All right. I lean towards the Texans. Tyler likes the Broncos. What do you think, Kurt?
I'm going Broncos, and I know NFL lines are so sharp that you should never do this, but I really like teasing it up to like 13.5 and 14 and taking the Broncos. I think they win by 2 touchdowns here.
You mean alt lining it?
Yeah, I know it's stupid to do because
yeah,
I'm going to tease. I think they win by 2 touchdowns. I was really hoping Burkhead got cut because I was watching the preseason. I was like, if he makes this freaking team, they're going to give him so many stupid ass touches, and he did. And I just want him out of the league so bad, dude. Like, I hate this guy. I mean, I can't express. I was watching the preseason, just please get him cut. Hate him. I want to see what Pierce.
Where does this hatred come?
That's what I'm like. Yeah, it's like normally people hate on like the elite players that like kill them in games. Like he goes for the running back
guy that just works hard and shows up, does everything the coach asks.
Look.
Great guy. He probably has like a charity he gives to in the offseason.
I think he was real. I liked him at Nebraska. I liked him when he first got in the league. I was at his playoff game when he had like 10 catches for the Bengals. I was at the game. He's just extended his welcome. He's not good anymore. He's old and needs to retire. He gets 2 yards of carry. I want to punch him in the face, dude. Fuck off, Burkhead. You suck.
All right. So that being said, do you think that Lovey, after watching this show, because I'm sure he's checking it out, do you think that he gets our guy Pierce more involved? All I heard all offseason, Pierce, he's the guy to get. He's the best rookie. He's going to do better than Breece Hall. To be fair, Breece Hall didn't do anything in week 1, and he's going against a tougher run defense.
I don't think there was a rookie running back that did a thing in week 1.
No. So I was low on Breece Hall, which I think he'll be good like come week 9, but I was high on Carter, so that's nice. Now, I think Pierce, it's going to be a little bit. It's not going to be like the massive thing that basically Lovey's hitting. Like, oh, yeah, we're going to get a lot more work. I think it'll be a tiny bit. I want to take the receiving yards. I think if the game gets out of hand, like Burkhead is like the more safe pass pro guy, but if it's out of hand, they'll put him in to get some catches. I think he can get the receiving yards there. I'm going to be way over the field on this Denver offense. I'm going to be stacking up a bunch of different ways with Javonte, with Javonte and a receiver.
Why don't you hate Melvin Gordon if you hate Burkhead? Because he shouldn't be getting that many snaps either. Javonte Williams looks maybe it's just to me. I'm not an NFL
I agree.
I think it's way more explosive.
I think there's a big difference between Javonte and Pierce. I think that Gordon didn't get that much. I think he only got 30% of the snaps. So it's a big difference.
10%.
Melvin Gordon's 100% better than Rex fucking Burkhead. I know that.
Okay, I'll grant you that. I will grant you that for sure.
But I totally get your point. We all want to see Javonte unleashed. I mean, the guy's amazing. Loved him in North Carolina. I think it'll slowly become that. But there's no reason to completely take Melvin Gordon out unless you just want to completely ruin Javonte Williams' knees or something. So I like Sutton. I like Judy. Judy was my call last week. I kind of want to lean back to Sutton here. I feel like people are going to be lower on him, but the dude's a stud. So I'm going to be stacking up different ways. 2 receivers with Russ. I really want to do every single lineup for my 150 to have a tiny Denver stack or a mini Denver stack. It's great. It sounds crazy.
Let's see how your afternoon goes after you let Russ cook. And
incoming Rex Burkhead for 3 touchdowns, and he's gonna lose it.
Oh my god!
Will you be having steak and lobster, or will it be mac and cheese when Russ is in the kitchen there? But those lineups are gonna let you find out. So there we go. We've gone through the whole afternoon slate. Now it's time for primetime Sunday night football. The Chicago Bears catching 10 points in Green Bay. Let's just go over the talking points that we heard all week. Green Bay sucked last year, and they bounced back, and they were fine. Green Bay always covers against Chicago. Aaron Rodgers owns Chicago, and you can't take anything out of that Week 1 win because they played on a slip and slide. So now that we've got that out of the way, Tyler, with all that being said, I still like the Packers. I'm laying the points. I'm going to still go with my NorCal guy, Aaron Rodgers, for one more week. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Chicago put together that win against San Fran in Week 1. Mind you, just like we talked about San Fran, they played that game on a puddle. Any outcome could have happened in that game, and it wouldn't have surprised anybody. And Chicago managed to put together 19 points in the second half and get that win. And just like you said, Spread, Aaron Rodgers says he owns this team. He's pretty much right. He's 23-5 straight up against them. He's 21-7 against the spread. He's won and covered the last 6 meetings, and he's 8-1 straight up and 9-0 against the spread after a loss when he played, and he's coming to Chicago. So, give me Green Bay. I think they stomp them. If Kirk's looking to bet a pleaser, push this one up too, because I think this is the other game that blows out.
Kurt, this is going to be a showdown slate. How are you approaching this one?
Well, their pricing is way off. They got Cole Kmet 2K, and I'm pretty sure Mooney's weird. Like they messed up the pricing, so it's going to be interesting how we dive into that on Sunday. You always got the 3 game classic primetime slate this week. We'll have cores up for that on the site. I think we have 4 or 5 cores for that. I'm going to actually go. I think Green Bay does dominate this game. I think the Bears backdoor late. They sneak in there, barely cover it for you. Barely. I mean, I think all games.
Justin Fields against the prevent, huh?
Yeah, I think it looks like a Green Bay slaughter, and all the people are counting their money, and then all of a sudden, like a field goal late for the Bears, and then a touchdown late for the Bears, and all of a sudden, it's like, oh, we're pushing this, or we're winning this bet. So I think that's what's going to happen. I like Cole Kmet. He didn't do anything in the game, but I mean, he's 2K, so definitely for showdown, I'm going to go there. I don't care if he's chalky. I believe in the guy, so I'm going to keep playing him. I think Rodgers might have found something late with my boy Dobbs. I was heavy on him, so give me Dobbs. Cobb's going to be cheap, but I like Romeo. I think he's a big guy in the red zone too, and I know Rodgers likes to target guys down there. Like he always looked to Adams, and obviously there's a reason why Adams is a route technician, but Dobbs can go up and get a ball too, so I can see him scoring once or twice as well.
All right, there you have it. We've gone through the Sunday slate. Tyler, was there any bets that we kind of just skipped over because we're going quickly, or something that I forgot to ask you that you wanted to bring up?
No, not really. I mean, I think we touched on everything. I still got to go over a few things in a lot of these games. So just keep an eye on that playbook for everybody on the site, and I'll have everything up there for them.
That's beautiful, by the way. Y'all definitely check that out. That's sick.
Yeah, and if you
Appreciate
don't know what he's talking about, head on over to runpuresports.com. Use that promo code NFL15 if you're not a member. If you are, use the promo code GetBets. You will see what we have designed for all the members. Just like you'll have a playbook to go ahead and build your lineup for Sunday. We're giving you a playbook for how to break down the NFL betting approach. And our idea there is a lot of these games, like, we don't necessarily have strong takes on, right? Like, we talked about the Seahawks and the Niners. Tyler and I are not going to put, I don't think, right? We're not putting a play on the sheet for that one. I know I'm not, right? But let's say you're down here in Santa Clara. You're going to go in the rain, which thank God we're getting in Northern California. My favorite hiking places are all on fire right now. So bring that rain in. Bring that rain in. But let's just say you're down there and you want to have a little action on the game. You can use the playbook to go ahead and see, even though we didn't put plays on the sheet for it, you can go ahead and find out how we approach the game from a side, from a total. And then, of course, Tyler gives you all the best statistics on how he's approaching it for props. And, hey, if you're a DFS guy, a lot of that prop stuff is applicable. So if you're making lineups, if you say, hey, I'm not even going to bet on that game, go check out the playbook, because Tyler is going to give you great individual matchups on why he's choosing props. And a lot of times those props and the guys that break the slate are correlated. Kurt, any other last tidbits for the people building lineups this weekend?
Not really. I mean, I talked about the favorite stacks I like, talked about some of the cheap guys. I'm gonna mention another cheap guy here when we do our favorite bets of the week. So that'll correlate with DFS as far as needing value. So nothing from me.
Oh, thanks for reminding me. I almost signed off. That's right, Tyler. I almost did it again. We have to give everybody their best bet. I'm going to start with you, Tyler. What's your best bet for today? Side, total, prop.
Mine's going to be Vegas. Give me Vegas. I think they smash them.
You are? Oh, my gosh. I'm so happy hearing that. I hope you're right. You like Vegas. You're fine fading Kyler. I agree with that. As far as the fading Kyler, I'm just worried about this offensive line. Kurt, what's your best bet for the day?
I'm going to just keep doing touchdown props because I like it. Demarcus Robinson for the Ravens. Had the same amount of snaps as Duvernay last week, same amount of targets almost. He's 3.3. I think he catches like a 25-yard touchdown here. He's plus 450. I kind of want to stack that up with like his probably a 20-yard prop or something like that. So give me that, and I also like Indy to cover in Jacksonville.
Demarcus Robinson, new target for Lamar Jackson. Hopefully they can get that done, and I know Lamar and his agent are hoping that as well. Maybe they can finally get that contract signed. I'm going to continue to go to my highly analytical statistical system, which is known as Fade Flacco. I'm just going to continue to fade this guy until Zach Wilson comes back. Really, there's not a lot that goes into it, but he's a statue going against Myles Garrett and the rest of that pass rushing core. I think it's going to be a disaster for the Jets. Look forward to them to getting their real quarterback back, but let's get Flacco back in the film room and playing with the pointer and not out there actually throwing the ball. So I'm going to take the Cleveland Browns minus 6.5. Everybody, we are on the new channel, but we want to get traction here. We want everyone to know that you guys are enjoying the show, and you can do that by liking the video. I'm sure you're subscribed, but if you're not, make sure you hit the bell. And then, of course, hey, share it with your friends. Drop it in the group chat that you're hanging out with, that you talk with all your fantasy football buddies. Give us a retweet on Twitter, whatever you can. We appreciate the support here at runpuresports.com. Promo code NFL15. Tyler and I will be back on Monday with Titletown to review the week, and then, of course, go over the 2-game Monday Night Football Showdown slate. So that'll be a little different, but definitely a lot of fun. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Lively chat today. We appreciate it. Run Pure.